Well, welcome. Your class is, this is Dr. Baku, you know who he is? Okay. What class is this, Doctor?
This is a combination of students who are in our Student Finance Association.
Okay.
So some are in the 3320, some are a little bit further along in the
Okay.
senior level classes.
Okay, all right, good. I graduated, if those of you who don't know, in 1970 from the university, when in those days it was called the University of Corpus Christi. And is it on? It's on?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. You turned it off.
I think you just turned it off.
Okay. There you go. Perfect, you're on. Good. Okay, and so I graduated in 1970 from what was then the University of Corpus Christi. Have I met any of you in a class before? Yes, which class?
Dr. Abdelson.
Oh, okay. I'm going, some of you look familiar, okay? And I'm thinking, am I getting Alzheimer's early or on? Have I seen you before? Is this deja vu or is this just deja, you know? So anyhow, I graduated in 1970. Undergraduate school, which I completed in 3 years. I have a degree in speech and English. Speech and English. Now you might say, how'd you end up here with that? Well, I produced, directed, and wrote shows, and I always thought that I would go to Broadway. So I applied and got into 6 graduate schools to get an MFA in theater, a specialty in directing. An old friend who was at Vanderbilt in the graduate school of, actually the psychology program, and the graduate school of management at Vanderbilt had just started in 1969. And they were looking for people who were different than the traditional MBA student. We were going to be managers of change. Wow, sounded pretty good. I met the dean, who was Igor Ansoff, and Igor was the preeminent strategy guy in the country in 1970. Wow, he had come from Columbia. And I spent 5 minutes with him, and he said, if you want to go to Broadway, you have to know and understand business. I'll teach you about business. You won't get anything more. You won't add any value to your life if you spend 2 years in graduate school getting a Master of Fine Arts. Because you can probably direct and do these other things as well as you're going to do right now. So don't spend the time, don't spend the money. Turns out he was right. And so what ended up happening is he convinced me to go to Vanderbilt. So here I am, we called ourselves soft heads. There were the soft heads and the hard heads. And the hard heads were the quant guys. And the soft heads were people like me who were, humanities and that sort of thing. And I must tell you, I went to grad school with no prerequisites. Whatever the prerequisites were, I did so well in the GMAT, they waived them all. And the only reason I did so well in the GMAT is because I'm a great guesser, okay? Great guesser. And in those days, there were 4 answers. It was A, B, C, or D. And since I had been through, and I'll talk about this in a moment, well, I'll talk about it now, the speed reading course. And if you've been through a speed reading course, okay, the question is, why not? Why not? There are a variety of, I did the Evelyn Wood reading dynamics course in 1967 before I went to school. It is the single most important thing I ever did in my life. More important perhaps than even my degrees, because it taught me how to process information very quickly. And I'm not, at one point it was 2,000 words a minute. I'm nowhere near that anymore. But when I needed to be, I was, for that 5-year period of undergrad and grad school. So the ability to take in information, process it, and spit it back out is an incredible thing. And so the faster you can read, now this is something called Blitz. Anybody know about Blitz yet? Google it. Blitz is a new reading program where they throw the words, where you read differently. They throw the words in front of you, and it's a little screen. And you might want to take a look at Blitz, okay? It's not out yet, I think they're in alpha, in the alpha testing. But it's an incredible way, because this way everybody can read almost that fast, okay? You have to train your eyes to do it. Now, I never dreamed in those days that I would have as much data to look at as I have. I have an extraordinary amount of data, and you won't find another office in this country that has this much in it on Bloomberg. Now, somebody may have more monitors, but I don't think so. But no one's got a Bloomberg with this many monitors. So, My ability to take in information, think of what I'm going to do with it, make a phone call, and make it actionable is what's determined my success. So after a couple of years in graduate school, and I was finance and marketing, I was a top marketing guy in school, and I passed out of most of the marketing courses, which was really amazing to me since I'd never taken one of those. Okay? Finance almost killed me the first year. I almost died the first year. And my great thing, my great story was, first day of class, we had quant. It was the first class. And I'm sitting next to the nephew of the president of South Korea. His name was Yu Chung Park. And Yu Chung was looking at the Korean to English dictionary. I was looking for the quant to English dictionary, because just because I guessed well didn't mean I knew anything. And so it was like, I'm thinking, I had just got married 5 days earlier. So now, and I married the smartest woman in the school. So I had a bit of a problem. However, I gave myself an out. If I didn't make it at Vanderbilt in 5 days, University of Michigan started after Labor Day. Okay? So I still had a shot to throw all our stuff in a car, drive to Ann Arbor, and start in the MFA program. But you know, I'm not sure you really want to do that to your bride of 5 days. Okay? This is not the way you want to start out married life, by going, honey, I just failed, let's get in the car. So you really can't do that, a lot of pressure. However, the next course of that morning was computers. And in those days, it was COBOL, Basic, PLC, it was timeshare, it was yellow punch tape. Any of you ever seen yellow punch tape? Probably not, okay. You, of course, you knew all about punch tape. It was our generation.
And cards.
And cards, and right. And so I look at these two courses, computers and quant, and I go, basically, they seem like the same thing to me. So after class, I went over to the computer center, and I found a guy who was a doctoral student. And I said, are these the same? And he looked through and he goes, 99%. Okay. So, could you teach me how to do quant using the computer? He said, yeah, but why would you want to? I said, because I can't do the quant. But if I learn the computer, then I don't have to do it. I can do it on the computer. And I'm thinking that maybe someday we'll all do it that way. Okay. 2 hours, I became an expert on this stuff. I was a musician. I understood how things worked. All of a sudden, it was the most illuminating day probably of my life. I learn how to do this, I get to do it, a whole bunch of them. In this 2 hour period, I go back to the dean, and Vanderbilt in those days, we were on a pass-fail. We were experimental. And so I went to the dean and I said, I have a great idea. And he goes, what's your idea? And I said, we should use computers to teach quant to those of us who are the soft heads. And he sat back and he said, that's a great idea. Okay, and, and he said, I'm going to talk to the faculty tomorrow morning. And then I'm going to talk to the dean, which he was told himself. And then I'm going to talk to the provost. And we're going to do this. So I went from being the guy who had a half-life in graduate school expectation of maybe 2 days to being the outstanding computer guy in the school. Because I understood this stuff before anybody did. So it was really very interesting. And yes, we did get some good press for having done that, because no one else had ever done that. So, okay, I made it through graduate school. Then the idea becomes, where do you go to make money? Well, I wanted to make money, build up my confidence, learn how to put deals together. Learn how to put deals together. Where do you learn that stuff? You learn it in the brokerage business, because that's what you do all day long. Not the private deals, but the big public deals. So if you're buying a portfolio of stocks, you're essentially assembling many, many stocks, capital, and you're making some decisions how to invest. Okay, brokerage business. So I interviewed with Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch. Goldman Sachs said, yes, they wanted me, but I had to be in New York, and I didn't want to be in New York. Merrill Lynch said, you can go any place in the country, and I had enjoyed living here. I said, okay, Corpus Christi, they had a new manager, and I joined them in Corpus Christi. And I spent almost 35 years there, and then I left and started this about 7 years ago last week. So it's been a very interesting journey, having worked for the biggest and the best when they were the biggest and the best. They're not anymore. Now it's Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley has more brokers and is bigger than Merrill Lynch's. They are also, Morgan Stanley owns Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch is owned by Bank of America. So things change in the financial services business. It's the greatest experience in the world to have spent all those years there and to have been the top dog for many of those years. So it's kind of fun. I talk to people about relationships and opportunities. Most of you are sitting on a gold mine in friends and relationships and opportunities, but you're just not looking at it. The things you need, the resources you need, may be just right there, and you're just not looking at it. The most important thing you can do right now is network. Network with each other, and network with everybody else's friends. If you don't have a network, put one together, okay? The Facebook thing is doing stuff online is not how you get things done. Shaking hands, real people, sitting there drinking coffee, throwing real ideas around. That's how you get things done, okay? If you think about the WhatsApp app, which just was bought for $19 billion, I thought that was a little pricey, okay? Everybody knows what WhatsApp is, right? Okay. So this was bought by Facebook. And the way this deal happened is these guys went out to dinner together. They liked each other. Then they tried to make a deal, and I guess it was Valentine's Day when the guy from WhatsApp went over to Zuckerberg's house and brought him something, and that meant they wanted to make a deal. That's how deals are done. They're done person to person, face to face, okay? That's how you do deals. You look somebody in the eye and you see if you can trust them. You shake their hand and you feel that they've got some oomph behind they've got some power, okay? That's how it's done. This business of doing it online. Now we use Skype camera here and big Skype camera over there. We do Skype videos with my clients who live everywhere. So we can do meetings with them. But I'm going to New York at the end of this month, and I will have lunch, a brunch, with 6 clients on Saturday, and then a whole bunch more at a dinner that I'm giving, and then on Friday and on Thursday. I mean, I will see probably 20 people. I will shake their hands. I will talk to them. I will pull out the chair for them, for the ladies, because I still pull out chairs. I still open car doors. Guys, open the car door, right? Ladies, when somebody lets you in and their side of the car is locked, unlock the door. It's just a nice sort of welcoming thing, okay? These are lessons that people don't even think about anymore. Oh, rule number 2, always be nice. Be nice to everyone. There is never somebody who you meet who you're not nice to, because that person could be your boss. Oh, or I'm sorry, they could be your spouse at some point too. You never know, okay? You just never know. So the being nice thing, okay? When you get out into the workforce and you're actually doing something that's productive, you're going to need some goals. Some goals. You're going to have to write them down. You can't say, well, it's in my head and I think about it. No, you don't. You don't think about it. You think about it once in a blue moon. I have stuff that I do every morning that I've done since 1984. Some of my speech that I'm doing today, I've looked at every single day since 1984. No missed days. Because think about this for a moment. You have this terrific brain, this computer brain, which is better than a computer. When you turn it on in the morning, what's in it? Well, a lot of stuff is in it, right? But it's not really up to snuff. It's just kind of in neutral. So if we talked about sitting on a gold mine, just not looking at it, injecting your goal 3 times daily, you become what you think. Alter the fringes, not yourself. The first step to change is awareness. I choose to be great at all the things I choose to be great at. Wouldn't it be powerful in the morning to read that? And it goes on and on and on. A lot of things in here. Oh, by the way, just so you make no mistakes about this, total financial independence is your objective. Say it. Total financial independence is your objective. One more time. Total financial independence is your objective. That's it, folks. That's it. Now, if you have financial independence, guess what you can do? Here's another word. Anything. Anything, okay? Anything. It's the mistakes that people make that keep them from being financial independent. And you're not financial independent at 22 unless you're one of the 1 in 250 million chance of winning the lottery. Okay? The odds of getting struck by lightning are 1 in 2 million, which means you have to get struck by lightning 125 times before you win the lottery. Okay? It's not a really good or great business strategy. So you're going to have to do this on your own. You're going to have to do all the heavy lifting yourself. Metrics. Metrics. If you can't measure it, it doesn't mean anything. I have a goal every single day for business. Every single day. And I have a spreadsheet, which I'm not showing because it's proprietary stuff. But my goal is up here, and every time I do a trade or something, we subtract from, put the number in, subtracts from the daily goal. It adds to the week, it adds to the month, it adds to the year. And then further on this side of my spreadsheet, I have what I've done for the last 3 years, okay, for the month. So I can see, am I ahead, am I behind, am I trending up, am I trending down, okay? All of those things. If you can't measure what you're doing, you're not doing anything, okay? Now, the money is made in sales. Repeat that. The money is made in sales, okay? Everybody thinks you can be a financial analyst and make a lot of money. Okay, what percentage of the people who took the CFA passed the test first time? It's about 44%. That's actually up, I think, a little bit. Okay. Everybody wants to be a financial analyst. That's great. But financial analysts get a salary. People who actually put deals together, or entrepreneurs who bring money and resources together and produce things, actually get paid a whole lot more. And no one will ever say to you, you're making too much money if it's your own business. I never say that to myself. I never say that to myself in the morning. Charles, you're making too much money today. Never said that. Never said that once. There's a technique. You know, I tell people, focus works. Focus works. Fragmentation kills. It kills you. It kills your ability to produce. It kills your work, the quality of your work. It kills everything. So focus is what it takes. Now, my concept is something called time lock. Say this, time lock. Say it, time lock. Basically, it's 90 minutes where you focus on nothing. I won't take a phone call. Don't open my door. I will kill you, okay? It's when I'm in the zone. I can't stay in that zone much longer than 90 minutes. I think I've made it to 118 minutes or something. But, you know, your head will explode, okay? Or I will, something like that. And so the idea is that for this particular period of time that you're doing something, whether you're building a spreadsheet or you're making sales calls or you're drawing or whatever it is, that's the time, okay? Your 90 minutes of intensity where you can, see this light up here, this is a light that generates some light, not a lot of heat. There's a Fresnel lens available from Edmund Scientific in New Jersey. It costs about $120. When I got in junior high school, it cost $5, and I started fire. I built a solar furnace for the science fair, and I had to prove it worked, so I proved it worked. And, the fire department had to come to school and put out the grass fire. But focused energy, not something like this. And you turn off your phone, you turn off your computer, you turn off your music, you turn off everything and you just get to it. And you can tell if you interrupt somebody who's doing it, because their eyes are a million miles away. That's how you know you're in the zone. You ever look up and you go, oh my God, where am I? Well, you're there, okay? So it's the intensity, it's that time lock that comes from intensity that makes great even greater. The core of your motivation is your dream. I have a dream. You all should have a dream. You have dreams? Okay? You have a dream, right? Is it money? Is it a better future? Is it a spouse? Is it children? Is it a Ferrari Testarossa? I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. You have to have one. And then you have to break it down into small enough components that you can succeed working towards it, okay? A lot of people say, I want to do this. Well, that's great, but that's such a huge number that in order to get there, you've got to do this, 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 and this. Sometimes people give up on their dream because their dream is too big for their age, okay? I want to live in $1 million house. Well, you're 22, you graduate in college. A little tough to do, okay? Unless you have a lot of family money, and then that's not a dream at all. If you already have the money, then it's not a dream. It's just something you can do today. So you have to have a dream that's big enough, and that you can break it down into small components, and you can achieve it over time. How many of you saw the movie The Bucket List? Okay. All right. Bucket List is very interesting. Everybody has this thing of things they want to do before they die. Okay. That one, right, okay. Things they want to do before they die. And everybody's different, so everybody wants to do something different. And The Bucket List was one of those movies, and I'm younger than those guys, but I'm not that much younger. And so, I mean, I have a list of things I want to do, and I have to keep adding things to my list because I just keep doing more and more things. That's something else you should learn about life. You keep going. I'm 66 years old, and I'm going. I mean, you can't stop me. I'm relentless. Don't get in the way. I will knock you out of the way because I still have it to go. And that's something you should learn, that at any age, you have to be the best you can be at any age. Now, would I challenge any of you to a race? No. Would I challenge any of you to figuring out the best option to buy? You bet. That's what I'm good at, okay? So, and by the way, do y'all know Travis over there? Yeah. Travis was recommended by Dr. Cuckoo, and he started his job last week with me. Something else. You may not know this, but let me give you a little tip. Someone is going to have to write you letters for graduate school. Okay? If you were in Dr. Cuckoo's class, and you're an outstanding student, and you contributed in class, and you went by and you visited with him, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, he might write you the letter. Now, those people who believe, well, I don't have to do any of that stuff, destined for failure. It's the people who know you, admire you, respect you, and who you work with daily, and who you try to help. The only way you can realize your dream is to help others realize theirs. My goal in life is to help people realize their financial dreams. They tell me what they want to do. I help them get there. I get to realize, because I get paid for doing this. I get paid for helping others get their dream. What a concept. How fun is that, right? Okay. And you have to have fun. You have to have fun in life. You can't take yourself too seriously. You just can't. And you know, you need some downtime, you need some recharging time, you need time when you just sit there and go. And what I'll do is I have a big, great white Pyrenees, a big dog, and she's a crazy dog, and she's about almost 3 years old. And I live on the golf course at the country club, and I'll sit in the backyard right by the golf course, and close enough to my wall so I don't get hit with a golf ball. But because if you sat further out, people who are missing are hitting golf ball kind of at you. And so I don't like that. And I'll sit there and I'll just put my hand down and my dog just, you know, pets herself, which I think is very nice. She's learned how to do that. And so, and I'm just thinking about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. 20, 30 minutes of that, I'm recharged, my batteries are ready to go. Boom, let's go, okay? Everybody kind of thinks one way. You want to think differently. You want to think expansively. If somebody says, here's a project for you to do, think about how you can do it, not just by doing the project, but how can you make the project bigger? How can you make it bigger? How can you make it better? How can you make it more interesting? How can you make it in such a way that people go, wow, wow. So I call that the wow factor, okay? It's not just doing your job. It's doing your job in such a way that people go, wow, I never expected this. That makes you so much greater than anyone else. Your generation at this time is looked at as being lazy. A lot of kids have graduated college, or not graduated college, and moved back in with their parents. It's going to take a crowbar to get them out of that, okay? And I have clients who have kids who graduated college and who are living upstairs or downstairs. Or a few of them got, actually their parents said, I'm getting you an apartment. This way you're not living at home. Because if you're living at home, you're still a teenager. I don't care how old you are. So those are the kinds of things, you know, and so people of your generation, to be very careful. You want to stand out from the beginning, okay? Stand out from the beginning, not later. You want to show your stuff now. And that's how somebody, when I called Dr. McCoo and I said, I'm looking for a great guy who can, he goes, Travis Kruger. So there it is. That's how that works, folks, in case you want to know, okay? So who's going to be the next great student for Dr. McCoo? Ooh, I like that. I like that. Did you ever see the movie Top Gun? Tonight. Top Gun, okay? You'll love the movie, okay? Top Gun is Tom Cruise. It was his first big movie, right? He was a fighter pilot. And they sent him to a place called Top Gun, which is where all the best fighters go. And the first day of class, the captain says, and who's going to be number one? Who's going to be number one in here? And he goes, puts up his hand, he goes, okay. He goes, it's a little arrogant. He goes, yes, sir. Yes. I like that. I like that, okay? You've got to know where you're going, okay? And you also have to know that if you want to win the race, you have to run the best race. The fastest race, the most strategic race, the most focused race, to win the race, okay? Now, you want to go to Harvard Business School, right? Okay. You know how tough it is to get in there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But you also have, your grades are terrific?
Very well. Yeah, I'd say they're good.
What'd you get on your GMAT? You take it yet?
I'm taking it on Friday.
Okay.
Not in a week from now.
All right, so what's the best score, 700? Okay. You're looking for a 685 or better, okay? That's what you're looking for. And because, and you have a chance. Do you know why you have a chance? Geographic diversification, okay? You're in Texas, okay? When they composed this whole thing, and that's how I get into Vanderbilt, really. I mean, I was a great student, but you know, they never heard of University of Corpus Christi. They never heard of South Texas. Now, if I'd gone to NYU, I probably wouldn't have gotten in, okay? Or maybe I would have. But the point is, the geographical diversification of the class they're trying to build. They want black, white, Chinese, Zimbabwe, you name it. They want to put, it's like a great blend of everything, okay? And that's what they want. So you may be just the person they're looking for, okay? All right? So, good. Now, who else is applying to grad school?
About you.
About a year, where are you going to go?
I'm looking at Ivy League, honestly.
Okay, good. Try Dartmouth.
Okay.
Dartmouth, okay? Dartmouth. You're from South Texas? Dartmouth. There you go. Okay. Anybody else? Where?
I'm thinking about UT, but I don't have any choices now because I'm working on my GMAT, so it depends on my GMAT score.
Okay,
But,
all right.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
And take it again if you have to.
Yes.
Okay, take it again if you have to. I mean, and go ahead.
Like after I start working, I want to go to Columbia.
Okay, And you're from Corpus Christi?
Houston.
Houston, okay, all right. Columbia's nice. Columbia's a very nice school. 125th Street, New York. And Columbia is one of those schools, it's an urban school. NYU's an urban school. It's in the middle of this big city, you know, and they have a terrific MBA program, so. But here's what I would suggest to all of you who are gonna do business school. Do the joint program where it's both law and the MBA program. It's a 5-year program, you do it in 4 years. People are standing there with blank checks to write it to you, okay? Very few of those people, very few. I have a friend, Howard Tadaskas, do you know? No? Okay. Howard Tadaskas is Gail Loeb's son, and Howard went to, was in his early 30s, and he really didn't feel like he was getting where he wanted to be. And he'd go into undergraduate school. I think he went to Texas A&M, College Station. Well, he signed up, he wanted to go to top 10, what do you call it, top 10 Ivy League schools that offered this program. Okay. Harvard, Yale, and all of those. Didn't get into one. I mean, nobody accepted it. Okay, so then he gets into, and then he's waiting, and nothing's happening. Well, he had a huge score on the LSAT and on the GMAT, because you have to take both. And so one day he gets a letter, unsolicited, in the mail from Rutgers. Rutgers, New Jersey, right? Number 77 law school in the country. And they have an okay program. So he goes to Rutgers for 1 year. Then he transfers to Notre Dame. So that's another strategy. Start at one school, do really well, transfer. So now he went from a 77 to a top 25 law school MBA. So when he comes out, he's going to have a huge job. But think expansively. Don't just think I'm going to business school. I'm going to business and law school. Okay? It takes an extra year to get the MBA. But how many people have both? It makes you extraordinary out of the box. It's thinking different than everybody else. People go, oh my God, it's a hard thing. Of course it's hard. If it was hard, if it wasn't hard, everybody could do it. Okay? So you have to think expansively. What can I be? What can I do? What can I be? What can I do with it? Okay? You can't be afraid of it. And when you see people out running laps, okay? These kids, they're out running laps in the morning. How many of you were athletes? Anybody? Okay. What was your sport?
Basketball.
Okay.
Basketball.
Okay.
Basketball. Volleyball.
Okay. You're the shortest one of these of the three. What?
I had to do my own things to
Apparently, all right. So, but you know, if you think about how much practice you put in. The more practice you put in, the better you were at the foul line, the better you were at shooting, the better, all of those things. All of that counts. So you're already a championship athlete, so you know what to do. You just have to extend that into your education. If everybody's getting an MBA, get the MBA and the LLB, or whatever, or JD is called now. So, it's something to consider. And yes, it costs more money, but the difference in starting salary the first year is, oh, I don't know, $75,000 to $80,000. Think that might be worth it? I think so, you know? Sometimes we run into things which just beat the hell out of us. It's another way to describe it. Just, okay. And you go, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Well, here's an interesting philosophy for you. It's called the Day One philosophy. Day One philosophy. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. Say it. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. Day One philosophy, right? Okay. Doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It's all behind me. Okay. All right. That means I got an email. So sometimes I get those things, boom, 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 boom. So it's good that it's not ringing like crazy. So Day One philosophy. Today's the first day of the rest of my life. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It only matters what's going to happen tomorrow. And I'm going to influence tomorrow in a positive manner. Because I'm not worried about what happened before. It doesn't matter. Day one philosophy. Something else for you. No ifs, just how. Say it. No ifs, just how. One more time. No ifs, just how. Right? Think about that. It's not if I'm going to do it, it's how I'm going to do it. Like I said, you can do anything in the world you want if you can break it down into a small enough thing so you can complete the task in a positive manner. Okay? And not everything happens good that you're working on. Sometimes things don't work. Sometimes your formulas are wrong. Sometimes this happens, sometimes that happens. That's why you need the day one philosophy and no ifs, just how. Okay? All right? Life is not easy. Don't make the mistake of thinking it is. In life, you want to be a thoroughbred, not a pacer. Who wants to be a pacer? It's like being on the merry-go-round. It goes around, same view and everything else. No. You want to be a thoroughbred. You want to be the horse that's outrunning all the other horses. Can any of you think of a reason why you couldn't do that? No. There's no reason why you can't. So then you should. Then you should. You can't be afraid about it. You're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you're going to pick yourself back up, you're going to day one philosophy, you're going to know ifs, just how. That's what happens in life, okay? You just keep going. Now, along the way, you're going to see a lot of people fail. And also, all these people you knew in high school, how many people are still close to their high school friends? Okay. One. How many people are still close to the people they knew in junior high school or elementary? Okay. You obviously come from the culture. Where are you from?
I'm from Vietnam.
From where?
Vietnam.
Oh, okay. All right. So, okay. You both, you
Yes,
too?
yes.
And you're from China?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, here in the United States, we think that when we graduate high school, we're influenced so much by our peers. And we think, for the rest of our lives, we're going to know these people. No. From the people I went to high school with, and I graduated high school a long time ago, 1965. I know 3 people from high school who I'm still in touch with. One found me on the internet about 15 years ago, and the other 2, we've just always been friends. But for the most part, the people who were influential or you cared about in life, they're gone. They haven't been in your life for years. So be careful whose advice you listen to. On the way to the top, when you're going to the top, you're going to leave a lot of people behind. And don't think badly about it for one moment. Because if push came to shove, they wouldn't think badly about knocking you down, okay? Life is competitive. Be a competitor. Be a competitor. Now, some of you come from cultures that it's difficult to do this. It's culturally difficult, you know. You change your culture, you know. That's about it. You want to be successful, you have to decide what you want, you just go get it. And you have to have blinders on. Blinders on. You look at Mark Zuckerberg with the Facebook thing. You look at Bill Gates with Microsoft. You look at Steve Jobs. All of these people had blinders on. They had no idea what was going on around them. All they did was the best of their ability to achieve whatever this thing is. It's greatness in the world. So don't worry about it. We are all top mental athletes. Think about that for a moment, okay? Top mental athletes. Right? You're in college, you're in graduate school, you're a top mental athlete. Now, I was never much of a physical athlete, but I'm certainly a mental athlete. When it comes to mental gymnastics, I'll take anybody on. So we're top mental athletes. And you need to think of yourself in that way. This brain can do anything. There is nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it. Top mental athletes. I always tell people, whatever you want in life, ask for it. Ask for it. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. All of us are salesmen. Saleswomen, take a choice. All of us are salespersons, to be politically correct. And you go, well, I'm not. No, I'm not. Really? You got a girlfriend?
Yes.
Thank you. You're a salesman. Okay? Got a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Salesman. Okay. You? You? Homework assignment. Go. You?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
First
sir.
you. Okay. All right. So we're all salespeople. How do you get anything in this world? You ask for it. You ask for it. And you just keep asking for it. You know, it's like, if you don't ask, you're never going to get. People don't walk up to you and go, you know, you're a handsome fellow, and I'd love to spend the rest of my life with you. Does this happen very often in real life, other than a movie? It happened to you? Okay, so the idea is ask for what you want. If you want a better job, ask for it. But ask yourself first. Ask yourself first, okay? What am I doing? What do I really want? How will this help me if I get it, okay? Don't spin your wheels. If you find yourself in a situation where you're going down the wrong rabbit track, if you will, just go, okay, enough already. Change, okay? The world is filled with people who kept going down the wrong road and never got off it. It's odd, okay? And no matter what anybody said. Now, a few of those people went on to achieve craziness, greatness, including the guy, here's one for you, the guy who invented the variable speed windshield wiper. Anybody know this story? In the late 40s, you know this? No, no, no. The late 40s, the windshield wipers just went, okay. Some fellow whose name I can't remember came along and said, well, it should be variable based on the amount of rain, because if it's really raining, you want it faster. If it's not, you want it slower. Okay. He patented that. All the motor companies stole it. They didn't pay him a patent for 50 years. Somebody should look this up. This could be an interesting course, case in a course. And that is, and so what happened is at some point, and I mean, he hired everybody and it went on, it was dragged on for, I don't know, 40 years or something like that. At the end, I want to say he got like $700 million in back things for the patent. But that was only one of his patents, okay? He had other patents. The point was everybody thought he was crazy and he shouldn't get this money, and they thought, well, it's ours. We just turned the switch, so it's 3 or 4. It was his patent, okay? Everybody thought he was nuts, but he was also brilliant, okay? So, and everything that's out there has a patent on it. You know, when somebody put a patent in, when somebody put a radio in the car, it took a patent to do it, because you had miniaturized things, you had do all sorts of stuff. So you never know where the next great idea is going to come from. We buy a lot of, in my business, I buy a lot of technology. I mean, not many people have 4 cameras and a couple of Skype cameras in their office as well. So whatever it is, whatever that's new, we're always buying it. I have a Morphe power thing in here to back up my phones, and I have a Samsung and an Apple. I'm trading this for a Note 3. Okay? Because I want the bigger thing, and this is my backup phone. So, looking for technology, looking for ideas, could be the next inventor of a great idea. You can't be afraid to ask for anything. If you're afraid to ask, then you're afraid to be successful. If you're afraid to ask, you're afraid to be successful. Ooh. Can I be any more specific? I think that pretty much sums it up, right? Okay. When you're when you're working and there's something you can't do because somebody else has the expertise, you lateral to the expert. Say that. Lateral to the expert. To the expert. What does that mean? Okay, anybody watch football here? Okay. You know, sometimes you can't get ahead, it's blocked, you flip it back. You lateral it to another player. They take the ball. In my business, I don't do as much insurance as my senior vice president next door, Vance Filer. He's the senior vice president of my company. So when I get an insurance thing, I lateral it to him. I don't try to do it. I give it to him to do. Okay, I go back to doing what I do really, really well, and he works on that, because he does that really, really well. So lateral to the expert when you get a chance to. Conviction sells. Conviction sells. Say that. Conviction sells. Okay? The more you're committed to an idea, a project, a task, or anything else, the easier it is to get people to jump on with you. And collaboration is a big point. It's a big thing in today's world. Okay? Everybody collaborates. So, but if you have conviction, if you say, I strongly believe that Apple will continue to produce the best products and services and music and blah, 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 and that's why we should own the stock. Okay? People have a chance, you might have a chance of selling some people some stock. But if you go, well, it's a good company and you should have something. That's no conviction, you know. And if you're talking to your boyfriend or girlfriend and you're saying, look, you know, if you marry me, you'll have the best life you ever imagined. It'll be better than you could have imagined. You will have this, 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 and this. I'm convinced I can do it. Well, okay. All right, yes, right? But if you don't have the conviction, who's going to buy that? So conviction is a big deal. The fun is getting there. The fun is getting there. I'd like to be your age and get to do all this all over. It has been a lot of fun. It's been crazy, nuts. It's been scary. It's been exuberant. It's been every word that you can think of. But it's fun. It's fun. We have fun getting there. Starting here, getting to here. Wow. And all the stuff it took. When I first joined Merrill Lynch, my first day at Merrill Lynch, 1972, May 30th. I graduated from Vanderbilt 5 days earlier. They had a sales meeting that morning, they introduced me and they said, this is Charles Doraine, he just graduated from Vanderbilt, he has an MBA. We've never had one of those before. We don't know what he's going to do, but we think he'll do all right. Charles, would you like to say something? I said, sure. It's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to getting to know all of you, and I'm going to beat all of you and become #1. People were shocked. People went, they didn't know what to say, because no one ever did that before. That's a little on the crazy side. I'm a little on the crazy side. And it took me 14 years. Then I was on top for the next 20 years. Okay? 14 years to do it. And the guy who was #1, when he saw that I was about to beat him, retired. That's how you know you're going to be #1. The guy who was #1, he retired. Okay? And it was, after that it was, and you know, when people take themselves, you've won the battle when somebody retires, okay? And you're #1, because you didn't have to get there. But to me then it was important not to hit his number, but to hit a number that no one had ever hit before, which I did. So that's an important thing. You know, you don't know what's going to happen in life, but there's an awful lot of fun that happens along the way. And it's okay to exhibit some championship behavior. It's all right to have a little swagger, okay? If you got something to swagger about. If you don't have anything to swagger about, you swagger and people go, "Well, you an idiot?" or what? So you have to have something to swagger about. But I call it championship behavior. You have fun, you take a little risk, You have the swagger. People see it in your eyes. They know who they're talking to. They know you're a champion. They know you're good at what you can do. Okay? And people want to be with the winners. Everybody wants to be with the winners. Nobody wants to be with the losers, which is why they're all 2 or 3 in an apartment with big screen TVs watching sports and computer stuff all the time. Okay? How many of those people ever break out and go on and do something great? Not very many. Okay? There was an interesting article, and I may have sent this to you today, talking about the fact that college graduates are taking low-paying jobs because they can't get the jobs they're looking for. Well, if they're working at McDonald's, it means the kid who's working at McDonald's, who should be working at McDonald's, is now working in the nursery. Okay? So what they've done is they've pushed other people down. Rather than pull other people up, they push them down. It's a very interesting dilemma. Now, all of you are majoring in finance or something finance related. That's terrific. That's a good skill. People need people with financial skills. But if you major in history, or you major in psychology, oy, oy, oy. In fact, they shouldn't. There should be a deal, doctor, where they don't loan you money if you say I'm going to major in psychology or history. What? Or art, right. There should be a deal like that. And I'm not dissing the others because I was speech and English, so I was I have a liberal arts background. But truth of the matter, what happens here is that there's some educations that you can't pay for. There's no way you can pay for it. There was a lawsuit a few years ago where somebody from NYU in the culinary program, I love this, sued NYU for $150,000. NYU and Citibank for $150,000. Anybody know this case other than me? Okay, so this case had to do with a woman who majored in culinary arts, 5-year program. 150 grand to get through it without the living expenses. She borrowed the money. She gets a job, and she's like the 3rd culinary chef, whatever, and she's living in California, and she's making $9 an hour. No, I mean, there is no payback. You know, I mean, and this was the time when you could still take a bankruptcy and discharge your loans. Now you can't. Now you can't. College loans stay with you forever. But the point is, spent a huge amount of money to not make any money. And I think that's a very important thing to look at in life. We all have dreams about, it would be fun to do this, it would be fun to do that. First and foremost, you have to figure out how to make a living. And then you can have a hobby. You can be the greatest artist in the world until you sell a painting, and it turns out you are, okay? But it's not your career, it's your side thing. Now, if your parents have all the money to put up so you can do all this stuff, that's great, wonderful. Go ahead and do it. But if you have to put up the money, or you need somebody else to put it up, or you have to borrow this money, it's going to be very difficult to do it, okay? And I wouldn't say the lenders are looking askance at these things, but the lenders have gotten a little bit smarter, okay? They kind of know what the professions are. And here's something else. Have any of you taken the strong vocational aptitude test? Anybody even know what it is? No, okay. You know what it is, okay. You can go online, strong vocational aptitude test. It's, I think, $50 or something. All of you should take it. It tells you what your interests are like, okay? Now, I know what you're majoring in, I know what you want to do, but wouldn't it be interesting to find out that you have the interests not of a financial analyst, but you really have the same interest as somebody who's a social science teacher in high school? Wouldn't that be nice to know before you got into a job that you went, oh, I hate this, okay? even though you may love the idea now, a job is different than an education for a job. Because in the job, you have to do this stuff all day long. Now, right now, you have, how many other courses you take besides this? Okay, how many? 4? 6?
5.
Okay. So, this is one course, and you have 5 other things. What are your other courses?
Management information systems.
Okay.
Behavior and organizations.
Okay.
Business communications.
Okay.
Financial, corporate finance.
Okay.
And I have one other, I believe, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's important to remember what you're taking. I mean, that's probably the first step, right? Sorry for singling you out. You have fun with this.
Operations management.
OR. OR. Okay. Well, you call it. See, we didn't call it. What?
Opposite.
We called it OR, or Organizational Research, in the early 70s. And, you know, it's the whole, OR was basically UPS and FedEx, okay? How they work. And they have, I mean, how those things all work and work well are amazing to me. You know, they lose very few packages. Their planes don't fall out of the sky very often. And the logistics of getting all this stuff, bringing it to someplace, sorting it, doing all this stuff, and pulling it back out, putting it on planes, flying it all over the world, and delivering it the next morning. Wow. That's fantastic, okay? So, but back to the strong vocational aptitude test. You should take the test, find out what your interests are. And maybe your interests will maybe this test will steer you in more of a direction that's perfect in your life. Because the last thing you want to do is major in one thing and find out that you really hate it, okay? All right? So, when you have negatives in your life, we all have negatives, counterpunch them with positives. They say, I got a C on that test. Okay, yeah, I got a C on that test, but I got an A on 3 other tests, and this, and this. I'm not stupid, I simply didn't study enough. Counterpunch negatives with positives. Okay? And you have to do that, you have to have some positives. So you have to excel and achieve in other areas. So if you screw up in one, you can say, well, okay, it's not so bad. You don't earn opportunities. You seize them. You seize them. Think about that for a moment. If you're waiting to earn it, you may never earn it. But if you go out and say, I want it, then it's yours. When you're in sales, when you're looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. You know, some of the greatest opportunities happen and we go, well look what he just did. Yeah, well, he sees the opportunity. Or she just sees the opportunity. Or, you know, I've had people who've asked me for jobs. We've given them jobs just because they asked. Connor, who works for me, who's one of Dr. Biku's students. Connor, I helped bring him here almost 6 years ago now. And Connor came here with a good friend of his, and the idea was the good friend was supposed to get the job, not Connor. But the good friend never asked for the job. Never called me, never asked me. Connor showed up one day and said, I'd like to work for you. I said, what do you want to do? He said, whatever you want. Hired. That was it. People who work for me have to do everything. Travis is shooting video today. You know, Connor's going to edit it this afternoon. Alex Davies is leaving to go in the software business. We'll be putting in trades, and Debbie's doing stuff. Everybody who works for me kind of gets to do all sorts of eclectic sort of things. Okay? I'm the one who sits here and does just one thing. Oh, and I run this business as well. So this is my company, Doraine Wealth Management Group. I'm an independent broker with Next Financial Group in Houston. And so they're my broker-dealer, but Doraine Wealth Management is my company. So I'm a company owner, so it's interesting running your own company. Now, I had almost 35 years at Merrill Lynch, and I was a big producer, and I had all these people who worked for me. But it's different when it's your own company. Because guess what you get in your own company for an income? Whatever's left. Think about that. You get what's left. You don't get off the top, you get what's left, okay? So, whereas I had been in business for 35 years, I've been in somebody else's business. So 7 years ago when I started, I had to learn an awful lot. I had an MBA and I was a smart guy. And I helped other people in their businesses, but it's different when it's your own, okay? And I'm sure in my first year I paid too much, or I got too little, or I did this, this, and this. But that didn't take very long. Now I'm 7 years into it, and my business makes money because we manage it. I manage it. My wife, who's down the hall, is a CPA and owns her own business. And if you have accounting degrees or gonna have them, I'll hook you up with her. I brought in a part-time person to look at it. She had some accounting, and I didn't hire her, my wife took her. So, that's what happens. You want to be more professional than anyone else. What does that mean? You want to look better, you want to sound better, you want to be well dressed, you want to have a good handshake, a good smile, look at people's eyes. I noticed that this group of people is astounding. All of you are looking at me, and nobody's looking around, except Dr. Baku. I'm just kidding. No, nobody's looking around. We know if he's looking around, we'll see it on the camera later. I actually did a video wearing one of those when an actual morning where I was doing trades and everything. I used to be a pilot, and as a pilot, my head was always going like this. You're scanning the gauges. Well, I didn't realize I did that. Now, until I was wearing the camera, it's going like, you saw the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Head's moving around like this all the time, up, down, around, so you have to scan. But when you're talking to somebody, you look them in the eye. Look them in the eye, you stay focused on them. And sometimes for young people, it's very uncomfortable because they can't look anybody in the eye, because they can't talk to you on the phone because they want to text you. No, we don't email. Well, we do email, we do text. But when we sit across from people, we look them in the eye. Look them in the eye. Maintain eye contact, okay? Because if you don't, it's disrespectful. So if you got somebody you're talking to and they're going like this, I actually had some candidates who I talked to about the jobs I've recently posted. And by the way, I posted at on the university's thing. We never got anybody. No one ever called us, which is amazing. But Dr. Baku, okay, he called, and because I called him, I called Dr. Friday, and I called Pat Crowley, and I called Dr. Abdul Samad, and I know a lot of people, and so I had the best people looking for the best, and here we go. That's what we come up with, and so that's okay. That worked, but I was surprised that more people didn't show up and say I'd like to be interviewed or something. Now, a few years ago, it was about 4 years ago, I was looking to hire 2 people. And I called the university, and they sent me a couple of people. And I may have told you that story. Yeah, you heard this. They showed up, one guy, there's 2 guys. One guy showed up, his tie was down here. Wasn't up here, it was down here. His shoes hadn't been shined. And he wasn't wearing a jacket. I didn't even know what to say. Another guy shows up, this guy's wearing a jacket, but he doesn't have collar stays in his thing. So his shirt is up like this, and his tie is not at the top. And his shoes aren't shined. So if you don't make a good appearance, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm not going to hire you, okay? So, clothes make the man, clothes make the woman. Don't ever forget that. So you want to look good, you want to have shine shoes, you want to smell nice. You want to smell nice, it's a nice thing. Smelling nice is a good thing. Your hair should be nice. Everything should be perfect because you're looking for a job. And when we sit across the desk from you, we're looking at everything. So have somebody look you over before you go for an interview. And make sure that, that you haven't misbuttoned a button or something like that. You want to be more professional than anyone else. When they look at you, they go, you want it to be said, see if anybody has a cough drop. And ask David. You want it to be said, oh my gosh, he's such a young, or she's such a young professional. Wow. Looks the part. Smart, witty, charming, all of these things. People are buying packages. You buy the package, okay? We look at you and we go, okay, got the job. In my mind, I know what I'm looking for. When I see that, yes. If I don't see that, I keep no. Yes or no?
Yeah, I've got,
Okay.
there's only about 10 minutes left on the
Was that all? Okay, good, because I'm about to run out of talking. Okay. You want to appear different, you want to appear better. You're different, you're better. Every problem is an opportunity for the prepared mind. Prepared mind. Okay? Many years ago, I worked at CBS. In fact, I worked for 2 years at CBS in New York before I went to college. And I'd always wanted to be a director. So I was a mailboy, then I was a film clerk, and all sorts of things. But I wasn't in production. And then I ended up working for CBS Sports on weekends as a production assistant. So kind of moved up a little bit. I wanted to learn to direct. Because at some point I wanted to go to college. And I wanted to direct in college. So I went. Secret Storm was a soap opera. And in those days, they were live. And there were no zoom lenses. Now we have zoom lenses. It's easy. In those days, we had four lenses. It was called the turret. And you had to turn between the things. So one day, I'm up at Secret Storm and I'm sitting in the back. And they had this most difficult scene they had to shoot. And they had 5 cameras. They had a crane camera and 4 other cameras. And personally, I would have fired the writers for writing a scene like this. But they had to do it, okay? And everybody's talking. So, and people are coming in from different directions. I was sitting at the back, and I saw it in my mind. I was a high school drum major, so I wrote marching band shows. I wrote the arrangements, I wrote the shows and everything. So I had an idea of how things come together, how you bring things in, how you bring things back out. And they must have spent 20 minutes on this. And I just raised my hand. Gutsy thing. I raised my hand. The director said, yeah. And I said, here's how I think you should do this. And I went through the whole thing and he went, that's brilliant, thank you. The producer, her name was Gloria Monti, said, Charles, out. So I got thrown out for that because I interrupted. Okay, the next day I come back and everybody gives me one of these. Now, when I did that a few more times, but I appeared different, I appeared better. Who was a 19-year-old mailboy or film shipping clerk who would come up with those ideas? I did. And that's how you define yourself to not only you, but to everybody else. Appear different, better. The last part of what I want to say is perhaps the most important thing. Always do what's right. Always. Say it. Always do what's right. Always. In this world, you'll be given choices. It's about integrity. Okay? That's you turning off. Okay. Always do what's right. You have to, you get choices, and sometimes there's a choice where you benefit and others don't. In order to really win in this world, everybody needs to win. We both need to win. Okay? Okay, I'll take questions now. Anything. Go ahead. Tell me your name first.
Jack.
Training.
Train.
T-R-A-N-G.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to school with a lady from Vietnam. Her name was Mintriet Li Thi. Mintriet. Or maybe it was Li Thi Mintriet. Okay, go ahead.
I have your business card.
Of course. And my staff is so good that they put business cards in my, knowing you would ask for them. I want you to look at my business card. Notice the right edges on the card around. Do you know anybody else's business cards who are like this? Because I certainly don't. Okay. Appear different, better. Would you like a card? Sure. Okay. And yes, you may call, and yes, you may come by. That's the answer. Okay. Okay. I was lucky. What?
I'd like
Okay.
one as well.
All right. Didn't I give you guys one the other day?
No, sir, I don't think.
Okay. You want from you? Okay, here, let's just pass them around, okay? Okay, next question. Yes?
How can I ask for like an internship without asking for it?
How can you ask for an internship
Like without
without?
actually asking, like, you know. What's the word?
Well, I think, you know,
Indirectly. Indirectly.
well, there's a lot of ways to ask for things, but, I mean, who are you asking for an internship?
Well, I interviewed with the Federal Reserve Bank.
With the Fed Reserve Bank, okay. That's a big internship.
It's a Dallas bank.
Right, right. So, did they say yes? What?
Well, like I have to go back to Houston for another year.
Okay. Yeah, probably, that's probably a very competitive thing. I mean, I'm guessing it's very competitive, because everybody wants that on their resume, okay? You know, it's like, you know, if you clerked for a Supreme Court justice one summer, you were at Harvard Law School, okay? Or Yale or one of those, and that's how you got that. So, yeah, it would be a great internship if you got it. Just call somebody up who you know and say, I'd like to do this. What are the possibilities? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do? Very direct. That's something else. Ask a direct question. Somebody asks you something, give them a direct answer. You don't have to sugarcoat it. Anybody seen Margin Call? The movie Margin Call? Okay, Margin Call, right? Don't sugarcoat it. Whatever they say to you, don't sugarcoat it. No one's smart enough to do that. Even the rocket scientists, right? Okay, I remember these things. Okay. Ask her what you want. Ask, don't be afraid. If they say no, maybe they would have said no anyhow. Just ask. Yes.
I'm very passionate in seeing how it works in the real world. So any chance I can have a tour, like 3 days, so I can see how people work here, or like only the weekend, I mean, or the weekdays. To take a tour, so how people work.
Work where?
I mean, here or.
You mean in my
yeah,
business?
Yeah,
You could show up any day, sure. We could arrange that in the afternoon.
yeah.
Okay, you could hang around one afternoon. Yes, not a problem.
Yeah.
We'll make you sign a non-disclosure agreement, which says what you see here, what you hear here, stays here. Okay, something like that. Sure, that's good. Yeah. Yes.
What do you rely on to give you the best up-to-date information, the most important information?
Well, Bloomberg. And here's a picture. I haven't told you about my relationship with Mike Bloomberg. Mike Bloomberg, I've been a Bloomberg user since 1989. I've known Mike Bloomberg since then. He's a good friend of mine. He was the mayor of New York. Now he's only worth $35 billion. And when I go to New York, I'll see him in 3 weeks. So he's a good friend. He's been a good friend for a long time. This was a picture taken in 2010 at City Hall, which was interesting because his office at City Hall was on the 2nd floor. And if you look at the office, it looks like a bullpen. It doesn't look like a traditional office. There were no closed offices. Everything was open. All the people who were important to him were in that room. Okay? There's a huge TV screen with about 12 inputs. I mean, one of the things that you'd see at Best Buy was huge deals. So they're watching everything. At that point in that day, 68,000 people had already called 311, which is the non-emergency number. Okay? Bloomberg is an unbelievable, he's a genius. He became an Eagle Scout at 12 years old. He started this business. I worked for Merrill Lynch for all those years, and Merrill gave him about $50 million over a period of 5 years. When they sold their last tranche, they own 30% of the company. When they sold their last tranche back to him, they had a total of $8.5 billion in that deal. And so I was the chief technology advisor to Merrill Lynch on Bloomberg for the last, I guess, 20 years I was there. Okay. So, anyhow, Mike Bloomberg. And you never know where people are going to go over time. When I met Bloomberg, he was probably worth $100 million, $200 million. Never dreamed that he could go on and become the mayor of New York for 12 years, or the head of this huge empire. My wife used to ask me when he called at home at night, she'd say, "Why is he calling you?" And I went, maybe because I have an idea or two he likes. She goes, yeah, but he can call you during the day. I said, it's easier for him at night. He calls at night. So, and you never know who you're going to meet along the way who's going to change your life dramatically. Okay? Now, any programs I want that don't exist, I just call Bloomberg and they'll write them for me. Okay? So what I'm able to do, I'm following lots of things. I'll give you an example. Over here in this screen are things I'm looking at historical. Okay? I'm looking for direction. Like over in the corner, that's up, that's flattening a little bit. That's been up and down, but it's dividend related. I'm following the goals. It went up, it's come down. Intel in the technology area got really beaten up. And so I'm watching things for historical things. In real time, I'm looking a few things over, one thing over here, and over here is what I watch in real time. And I'm watching indexes, and I'm watching news, and I have a variety of different things. This is gold. Gold's down 13.20 today. Crude oil is up $1.18. The dollar is up just a little bit. Natural gas is down about 4 cents. You're right in the middle of one of the greatest finds in the world for oil and natural gas, called Eagle Ford. Wow, what a concept. It's here. It's the reason we have a 93% occupancy level on apartments in Corpus Christi, why they're building more. It's the reason why sales tax is up, it'll probably be up in the first quarter another 20%. This will be the third year of 20% increases in sales tax. So you guys are right in the middle of that. And they're looking for skilled people who want jobs. Okay? Let them have you, you know? Next question.
Hi, my name is Ben, and
Okay.
I'm the MBA here. And like my bachelor major is the marketing, and since I in the MBA program and have the class with Dr. Piku, and I learn a lot about the finance and figure out that it's quite interesting and useful and like really smart part of the business.
Right.
And I want to, like, since you talk about some movies, and I watched some like finance movies like
Sure.
Wall Street 1
Oh, sure.
and 2, and
Right.
realized there are some movies and books about the finance, they're really useful. So I want to take some recommendations from you about books and
Okay,
movies.
there's a couple of things. There's a new movie out called Hank. Anybody know this? Hank Paulson. Okay, it's on. I want to say it's on iTunes. It's called Hank.
Mm-hmm.
Hank Paulson, 5 years after the crisis, and it is terrific. Okay, there's another movie. Well, that's a documentary. There's a movie called Too Big to Fail.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, Too Big to Fail. I've probably seen it 50 times because I just like the parts. I was involved in all of this stuff when that was happening. So
How real is that movie? Is like
it was written by Andrew Ross Sorkin,
uh-huh.
who writes a deal book for the New York Times, and who was the host on CNBC in the morning. It's real. That's the dialogue.
Wow.
Okay, he was there. He was involved in that stuff. He had friends who were covering it. He got all these quotes. He put it together, and it was the screenplay follows this pretty much. Okay, when you see the guy from the SEC, Chris, whatever his last name was, the SEC guy who appeared to be a jerk, well, that's because he was. Okay, you know, I mean, really, you know, there were some of these people who were appointees, and I love the scene where they said, "I'm not sure I can do it," and Olsen says, "This is your job. You are the regulator. Make the call." You know, and you knew if he didn't make the call, he was going to beat him to death with the telephone. Okay? And I love it when the Lehman board is meeting, and he says, "You know, we want you to consider the bankruptcy thing." What? And that's all I'm going to say about this. And he hangs up, and they go, "Oh, okay, let's take the vote." Okay? And that's really how that whole thing just happened. Okay? There's so much more realism today in movies because it's information.